Welcome to Hip Hop Now Podcast. If you're from the future, you know what to do. Get your ass out of here. Don't disrespect the legend. Hip Hop is here to stay. Let's get right into the business.
What up, y'all? Welcome to a review on Hip Hop Now Podcast on YouTube. Some new, some a little old, but something for the hip hop fans nevertheless. I'm your host, Vegas of Hip Hop Now Podcast, and trust me, that podcast is available wherever you get your podcast. All you gotta do is pick up your phone, whether you got a bum-ass phone or you're rich, you got the new iPhone or whatever it may be. In your favorite podcasting app, type the words Hip Hop Now Podcast, hit subscribe, and stay locked in to weekly content. Now, I know you're saying, who the fuck is that, right? Maybe you're not saying that if you know us. But in these reviews of the Wu-Tang Saga, this is the final season, right? An American Saga, Wu-Tang. And the first season I wanted to review on, but I was like, it's too much work. But since this is the final season, it's turned out to be a pretty good show. I wanted to bring people on and review each episode and talk about the woo, the nostalgia, what we like, what we dislike. So since they put out 3 episodes, I had to do it, big. I had to bring in other actors and shit, other thespians in this motherfucker. This is a long ass intro. But I got the homie with me, Jevon Johnson, who is a comedian and an actor. You might have seen him on TV. I don't know if the nigga spoke in the show I'm on.
Niggas edited my line out, but it's all good. I was on it.
Right. But this my homie, my best man, my roommate from college, back to Boys and Girls High School on Fulton Street. None of that gentrified version, whatever.
Nah, the old best style.
What's good, man?
I'm chilling, man, and I just want to say congrats on all the success with the podcast. The shit been dope for years, man. You my guy, like Vegas said, we go way back to the 90s and shit. And it's my brother right here, so it's a pleasure to be here on your platform, brother. Thanks for having me, man.
No doubt. And if you are watching, why haven't you hit the subscribe button yet? Like button, and definitely we're gonna have some things for you to comment about. So Wu-Tang and American Saga is in its 3rd and final season. Maybe it's time. I don't know. But nevertheless, it's been a pretty good show. So, Jay, let's start with just your feelings about Wu-Tang as a group, and then also how you feel about this show.
Well, one of the greatest, hip-hop groups of all time, in my opinion, man. It's funny. I always say this, man. I was put on to Wu by my man Craig from my block because the RZA and GZA are actually his cousins. And I remember when we first, they first bought the 36 Chambers album before the shit dropped. At first, I was listening like, fuck is all this kung fu shit these niggas doing? Like, is this a rap album or this like, the soundtrack to a new Bruce Lee documentary or something? I didn't know what was going on. But then when I really sat down and got to listen to this shit, it's something like we never seen before, man. It was like 10 dudes, you know what I mean? Rapping on one track, the beats, the RZA production in the beginning years was crazy, unique. They just had that New York energy, man. The way they rapped and how they talked, the shit was so gritty, and it was hip hop. It was real hip hop. And even though they was from Staten Island, because when you from the city, first we like, them niggas from Staten Island, this shit probably corny. But nah. They definitely put on for the city. So it was a great time, man. I loved the original album and everything that the Wu stood for, man. I even got on my Wu hoodie, my one piece.
Okay.
Arrow, you know what I mean? I never wore it before. I popped the tag for this, man. So, but nah, I fuck with the Wu, man. Fuck with them.
All right, let me ask you this question. And so in 1993, when that album dropped, did you buy that or Midnight Marauders or both?
I bought Midnight Marauders, and I'ma say because I got, 36 Chambers, I got that for free. I had the promo copy. So we got them promo copies back in the days. We wasn't like, we gotta support them. Nah, nigga, I got it for free. I'm not
right, I have it already.
But nah, I was a big Tribe fan too. So of course I caught Midnight Marauders. But if I didn't have a free copy of the Wu joint, I would have definitely picked it up and spent my bread on it.
Yeah, I feel the same way as you. I heard about it. Well, I mean, I'm gonna tell the story all the damn time. But if you're new, maybe you didn't hear the shit. So I remember when I used to go to this barbershop on Fulton Street. Remember Brooklyn Bazaar?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, there was like a barbershop like way in the back. And I would go there. And I remember one time, I don't know if they had the demo version, maybe they had what you had.
Yeah.
And Can It Be was playing, but the beat was playing like mad long before they started rhyming. Yeah. I was like, the fuck is that? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I didn't know that was the same dudes that made Protect Your Neck. So I already liked that joint. But when I heard the joint in the barbershop, and then I heard Method Man and I saw the video, I was like, damn, this shit kind of different. Kind of dope, right? Just dope. Yeah. And then like you heard all the karate shit, and at first I was a little puzzled, like, the fuck is all of this? These niggas know karate? Like, that's what I started thinking, like, yo, these niggas can fight?
Or rapping ninjas and shit.
Right. It took a minute for it to dawn on me, like, oh, that's like their theme or whatever.
Yeah.
And like you said, man, them beats were so grimy and gutter and different.
Crazy.
It was just dope. As you can see, I bought the vinyl.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, just again, one of the greatest groups of all time, one of the greatest runs. Not that it's over, but and we're gonna get into it because it's within these episodes. But just that time, that's why Jay is the perfect person to have on here, because we remember like everything we were doing. Our school paralleled each other. You know what I'm saying? Especially with one of those releases we're gonna talk about, or two. Shit, honestly. But yeah, man, the Wu is dope. Now let me ask you this: the show, the first two seasons, did you like one versus the other? You like both? You love it? What do you think?
I love the show, man, and a big part of it, you touched on it. It's just the fucking nostalgia of it, man. We at an age now. That's how I know we're getting older, because it's you see certain shit and it just takes you back to a simpler time, and you remember being in that time period, man. Like we talking about when the album dropped and we first heard Wu. I remember that, and it was such a dope time in hip hop, man, because everybody, if you're a hip hop fan, the West kind of had shit on smash at the time. You know what I mean? So to have some New York cats come through with their own sound and kind of be like, nah, New York is back. That shit was dope. So when I saw the show, I got crazy excited. I remember because it was kind of like I found this show when we was first initially on lockdown for COVID. So I was at the crib. I didn't have nothing to do at the time. I was not working, you know what I mean? So I'm sitting at the crib. I'm like, oh, well, there's something for me to do. And when I watched the show, man, from the music to the fashion, you know what I mean? It just took me back to a dope time, man. So I loved everything about the show. The shit pushed me in, and from the beginning, it pulled me in rather. And the only thing I can say, us as New Yorkers and hip hop historians, we're going to be very critical of specific pieces from our era, right? So a couple of the castings and the way actors, some of the members are portrayed, I got a little issue with that, maybe with like one or two.
Who's the one or two?
RZA, man. I know, and most cats I speak to feel the same way, and it's so funny. The kid Ashton Sanders that plays the RZA, great actor, but I think sometimes Hollywood just fucks with whoever is hot at the moment instead of really trying to pick cats that really embody or can embody a character. Like Ashton Sanders is a known actor, but when you doing something like casting for a character like the RZA, you got to take your time and get that shit right. So I think one most of these cats, I know they weren't familiar with Wu-Tang because they all was born in like 94, 95. So they was babies when Wu first came on the scene. So I get that. But I just feel like they ain't portraying the RZA right. You got to cast, first of all, an actor that got a lisp or could do a good lisp, because the RZA got a lisp. And I think what they try to do is like they made the RZA's, you know, the way he talks, the character too robotic. It's unnatural. Like nobody fucking talks like, hey, yo, nigga, like, all right, so we got to get the tracks in, you know, nah, God. And I'm like, who the fuck, who is this? So I think Son is a great actor. I just don't like him for that role or the way they prepared him for that role.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Like the first 2 seasons, or even to just start with the first season, I ain't gonna front. I was on my hip hop snob, right? The RZA shit was kind of annoying me, but Ghost shit was really annoying me because I'm like, let me do the voice because he's supposed to be like, yo, this shit's made of glass, son. Like,
yeah, man, it wasn't animated enough.
Right. Like, I get it as an actor where he's trying to nail his attitude and his personality, and they try to hone into who Ghost is as a person. But that's who he is also, right? Like, he doesn't say nothing regular, right? Like, right? Yo, you know, let me get the famine and all. Like, what? Like, that's Ghost. That's what
he's a character. Ghost is a character.
Right.
Yeah.
And they got it a little bit with how particular he is about you know, things he likes and dislikes. But like you said, overall, I feel like this is a dope series. Once you get past the personalities or the actors or what your expectations are, I think it's pretty good, man. And I'm glad they're gonna end it in a way that at least feels like it may be satisfying to end things, but we'll see. So we're going to talk about that right now. Hulu released 3 episodes all at once. We grown ass men, so we had to binge them when we could, between falling asleep on the couch or being at work. One of them times. Well, let's start with the first episode, right? So the first episode is called "Can't Go to Sleep." It's about RZA, you know, the flood happened and all these dats and beats and albums are lost or trying to be salvaged and all of that. The group now lives in a mansion in Jersey in the woods.
Yeah,
for some reason, U-God is in the pool the whole time. I hope the nigga didn't think that was the equivalent of taking a bath, because it was not. Nigga, get out the pool. Like, what you doing? It's shorties everywhere. Their debut album is already out, so they're already dope and large or whatever. Tikal is also out at the time, and at first, and I'm not going to review it. I'll say what I think about that. And ODB and RZA are still beefing over RZA. Oh shit! You know what I didn't say? If you didn't see none of this shit, you should probably leave, because
it's gonna be bad spoilers. Yeah,
right. They're probably like, "Oh, shut the fuck up, damn."
Right.
But yeah, RZA and ODB is still beefing over them signing ODB to Elektra when his dream was to go to Def Jam. So, episode 1, Jay, what did you think for this, you know, first episode to start the new season?
Now, I think it was a great episode to like lay the foundation of, I want to say, like the old Dirty era of Wu-Tang, because, you know, Dirty is a big part of Wu-Tang and like his own entity, right? And I never really knew like the behind the scenes shit where, like, you know, old Dirty really wanting to sign a Def Jam and ending up on Elektra. And you know, I know later on, like a lot of relationships in the Wu were fucked up because a lot of the decisions that RZA and Devon made for some of the artists, you know. But funny, knowing that, I never knew that Def Jam and Elektra shit was a big deal. Like, I mean, let's be real. In the 90s, everybody wanted to be on Def Jam. You know what I mean? That's every rapper's dream, especially from New York. Shit, you want to be like LL, Run DMC, and all them and be on Def Jam. So for them to paint the picture of how that dynamic broke down and just showing like how Dirty was really like on some dirty shit. Like, I don't give a fuck. I'm not coming to record. I don't care about the album. Fuck all that. Now, one thing I'll say that, you know, they opened my eyes to that I really didn't know. And I guess this is me being naive because old Dirty fucked with everything. But seeing him using coke, it bugged me out. I'm like, old Dirty was a cokehead? Like, and blatantly walking in the street. I'm like, damn, nigga, you outside, you know, buy the CDs and you just go, you know, hit a bump. So that shit bugged me out. But it just like, just showing the dynamic of their relationship and how they fell out and how it affected the business and him and Devon, is under pressure from Elektra about getting the album out and having to push meetings back. I think that was a great episode for the first season. It brought you up to date as to where they were and what was going on.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not gonna lie. Initially, all those damn camera cuts in the mansion, I was like, all right, motherfucker, they have the mansion. It's a bunch
right,
of
we get it.
Shit here, okay, or whatever it was, light skinned chicks.
Right.
But then you kind of figure it out, like, oh, okay, RZA's trying to get all these beats together, all these albums, especially since he lost most of it, and everybody's kind of adapting to this new lifestyle, but they still all living together,
right?
Which I thought was pretty dope just to see. And one thing, and not to get too serious for people, but the same thing happened with Biggie and Junior Mafia, right? Like once they got on, they got a spot in Jersey, which is not that far from me. I'm about to just ride to the neighbor. Who up here? Who up here? Rather your foreign, you and your people up here, because it seemed like a thing that they just did to leave the hood, and have a spot. But yeah, I thought it was a cool episode. I think, like you said, to kind of set the tone for what's to come, especially the old dirty stuff, and how he was just all over the place. But I will say I probably like the way it ended, teasing the dirty stuff more than the entire episode, because I felt like they had to catch us up to speed on so much that it felt like it was moving so fast.
Yeah.
That some things I was like, okay, what's this episode about?
Right.
But I get it. They were trying to show like where everyone was. What did you think about, in one of the other episodes, one of the relationships comes to an end, but what did you think about that dynamic? Because I'm going to tell you like this. For those who don't know, Mary is my wife's name. Jay knows her. The whole time it's like, who's this old lady the RZA with? And I'm like, yo, it's the 90s. Some of y'all look like that. Like, why you keep saying that? What did you think about how heavy they kind of went with the relationships?
Well, I guess just showing how RZA was so focused on the whole squad being successful, that even though he had a supportive black woman by his side, he still was focused on the music. And it's funny that you talk about Shorty looking so old. I was like, damn, this is not realistic. When they took the shower together, I'm like, come on. She got in there with that Halle Berry fucking cut, and she ain't had no scarf, no shower cap, nothing. Sisters is not doing that. I said that wasn't real. But what bugged me out is how they went up to Empire State Building, right? It's like they having a great date, and she telling the RZA, yo, I'm so proud of you. You're so ambitious and hardworking. I knew you would make it. I never doubted you. Then in the same breath, she says, yeah, I can't do this no more. I said, damn, bitch, that's the worst time to break up with the nigga. Like, what? I said, why would you do that? Like, you singing his praises, and then you tell him, yeah, and by the way, nigga, this is over. Like, so that bugged me out. But I guess just trying to show how sometimes, on a path to reaching your goals, you may almost lose everything. People you love, your lady, your family, your friends. But it was bugged out. But I think it was up to that point, showing how supportive she was of him, like coming to the studio and making sure he was good. And, even when they at parties, she there supporting him. So that was dope. I always love a dynamic between a strong black sister and a brother, because our women are very important in our success, no matter what path you're on. But Shorty did look much older. Like, she looked like she could have been his mom's. Once again, they could have done a little better casting. But like you said, back in those days, chicks look like that, man.
Right.
So.
Right. Yeah. Like, even when it was happening, I was like, oh, we get. I think this was episode 2, but or the end of it felt on the end of episode 1. But I was like, this nigga just gonna have a robotic reaction. They're like, yo, I was working on the beats. Like, it's almost like somebody said, act like a slave and a robot.
Yeah, right.
And
That's exactly who he is, man.
Right? Like, oh, I'm just working on these albums, miss it. Like, but I agree though. I think also like the whole reiterating the whole dynamic between Ghost and his baby moms, and how the contrast, right, of this woman's trying to do everything she can to support RZA, right, and then Ghost just could lay in the bed and get a temple massage, which we learned, ladies, if you want to get the ghost face, just massage your nigga temples and win. Yeah, right,
good,
right. But you know, I like how they were showing the different dynamics of those relationships because it's real, right? Like she understands her role, which we'll get into with the second episode, versus someone else who's like, I need attention. You know, I can't sit in the room and wait the entire time. So let's get into the second episode, which is called All I Need, where we find the early beginnings of Purple Tape, only built for Cuban Links, find the early beginnings of Liquid Swords. Also, you know, we see Dirty like just doing some of the craziest shit ever, jumping out windows, seeing dogs and shit, all kinds of craziness. And also, because you know we about to joke the shit out of it, Busta Rhymes.
Oh my God, bro.
Jay, let's just get into it.
Nah, that I wanted to break my fucking TV when I saw the Busta Rhymes character. I'm like, Busta Rhymes, and once again, this is what happens, right? Where you have people that are not of the culture making, you know, decisions on characters and who should play what. Because, you know, even though Busta Rhymes is only in there for maybe 5 minutes, you gotta have somebody electrifying that embodies Busta. That dude was like a Harvard School of Acting trained actor. If they even got that, I don't even know. Like that he didn't embody Busta at all. Like he dropped the ball for me with that shit, man. You know, it was horrible in my opinion. I think they could have they missed an opportunity to just have somebody come in there and just make an impact in that scene, man. I hated the casting for Busta.
What did you think about King Combs as playing his daddy, Diddy?
That was spot on. I was telling somebody today, like, that them getting King Combs was excellent because he looks just like Diddy to me, talks like him, you know, that was great. I ain't had no issues with that, man. But yeah, the Busta shit, they could have done better.
Yeah, cats online kind of spoiled that for me because, you know, I saw like articles about everybody hates Busta and I'm like, oh shit. And the minute I saw the hairdo, I was like, all right, let me give it a chance. And this dude couldn't have possibly studied Busta because
at all.
For one, he has a really distinct voice. His physical mannerisms stand out.
He was way too calm. That couldn't have been Busta.
Right. He like, oh, where's ODB? Shit, that's even too good. Like, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, where's ODB? Like, nigga, that ain't Busta.
Right.
At this point, and look, hold on, let me say this too, because I left it out. The Tyler Perry wigs on RZA, like I remember the afro with the bandana, but goddamn, it was like,
son. And the sideburns, bruh. I can't even call them sideburns. Like the cheek pussy hair. I'm sorry, I don't know what that is. Like, who? Maybe it is the same people that do Tyler Perry shit, cause the hair is horrible, bruh. Like them I'm like RZA did at one point have the crazy sideburns up here, but that shit like looked like they cut it off a squirrel or something and put it on Sun's face, man.
Yeah, you know what it feels like sometimes? It feels like they're not using, well, I won't say they're not using the right film, but for, you know, like when HD came around and they had to adjust the makeup for the anchors because people look plastic. Yes. Because of all the lights. And it feels like that. Like if you're gonna do a close up, why that shit look greasy and you know, crazy? But we know why it looked crazy because it's not real.
Exactly.
So yeah, I felt the same way. The Busta cat was trash, and But what did you feel about the episode though? Like now we get into the it's almost like a relationship joint, right? We have um what's RZA's sister name again in the show? Is it because
Damn, I just
she light skinned and I just want to call her Crystal, but that's not right.
green eyes. She do look like a crystal. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's
look,
a dead
I'll
shame.
flash it on the screen if you can remember. She's right there in the picture.
Right.
But we had her like, you know, her relationship with Dirty and the family, and obviously Ghost as the nurturer of these dudes, you know what I'm saying? Almost like their mother, like she was in the previous episodes. And then we had I believe we had the breakup. Well, RZA after the breakup.
Right.
And then Old Dirty and RZA. Now you said you didn't know all of this was happening. What did you think about how they handled Old Dirty, that relationship with his cousin, and then him eventually showing up at the Electra meeting?
I think they could have gave the brother a little more support and reached out sooner. It's almost like, oh well, fuck it, that's just Dirty, and hoping he gonna show up, and he miraculously shows up right at the meeting and does that dope freestyle and everything's okay. Once again, I know you got to exaggerate shit for TV, but I'm sure it didn't go like that. I just feel like they could have looked for him more, been more concerned, because he was out there wilding. But going back to the sister who was Ghost's girl, I can't believe I can't remember her name. It's so funny because the way she took care of everybody in the first season or first couple of seasons, that's how her and Ghost really fell for each other, because she would help him out with his brothers and shit like that, man. And she was a great mother. And then she, always held a household down when RZA and Devon and it was there. She was always that glue. And that once again speaks to how a lot of times, young daughters have to end up playing a mother role or being a big sister, even when they're not the big sister. They just naturally fall into that place, man. So once again, showing the strength of a black woman, how she even took care of Dirty and let him crash at the crib, even after he stole her car and shit like that. She was forgiven, and which I don't know if no sisters doing that, letting you sleep on their couch after you stole a car, but family first. So I think that's dope. But I another thing I have with the casting, and the sister does an amazing job, but she just looks so young to be so mature and doing all the things. I'm like, she like 15, dude, because she doing all that. She wild mature for her age. So it kind of makes it like a little unrealistic, but she does an amazing job. She's a great actress. I never saw her in anything else. I'm sure she's done other things, but I love what she does in that role. And like I found out too that the RZA and Devon had actually more than one sister. So Shorty is like a mashup of all their sisters in one character. So maybe that's why she looks so young and acts so old. She's probably portraying one of the older sisters in those moments.
Right. No, you're right. The name of the character is Shuri. Yeah. I didn't think that was right, because I'm like, wait, Black Panther's sister? What the you are the Black Panther now. But yeah, you're right, man. I well, first of all, I like this episode a little bit more because it was more character development. I feel like the sister Shuri is probably one of the most developed characters on the show. Yeah. Because the minute she's the first one to show up at the hospital, you almost look at her like the mom's, like, oh, somebody else is here. I don't know how Dirty's moms feel about that though, because how
that's real.
Like, she wasn't there. I was there.
All right.
But again, I felt like overall I really liked this episode because we got a little bit more from Dirty. I felt like in the first two seasons, he was just there to do quick lines or be the comic relief here and there. And now we were getting to see him a little bit more and how he felt, especially towards the end where who was it that was like, y'all need to talk? Was that Jizza?
I think it was Jizza. I think it was, and let me say something about that. Sometimes I cannot tell if it's Jizza or Inspector Deck. Motherfuckers look like the same person. I'll be like, okay, until Jizza starts saying, nah, the gods in the earth, what's today's map? I'll be like, okay, that's Jizza.
Right.
Like, is that Jizza or Inspector Deck? Motherfucker look like the same person, man.
Right. Yeah. Oh, really quick. Let's get into that because that was a part of probably more so the first episode than this one. The Lost album from Inspector Deck. Now, look, let me give some of these young folk some context.
No, right.
When you think about, and we didn't even get into Purple Tape and all that yet, but when you think about Only Built for Cuban Links, Return to the 36 Chambers, which is the ODB album, and Liquid Swords, and like the run that RZA was on beat wise, and to Cal, and Inspector Deck was supposed to be next, and that album was basically done and lost in the flood, man. Did it hurt you to watch that as much as it did me? Because I was like, oh god.
Yeah, it did, because if you think about it, man, if a cat that followed the Wu from the beginning and really into hip hop and bars and all that, niggas used to say Deck was the nicest one. To be honest, you know, a lot of people were saying Inspector Deck was the nicest one, right? Yeah. And I heard like that album that was supposed to be the album was crazy, and but for I could only imagine as an artist, because you know, shit, we both MCs too. Music is my first love. If I worked on a project and I'm hype about it and I'm like, yo, my shit is crazy and the tracks is crazy, then it gets lost and we cannot recreate that. And then I have to end up putting out something that's very subpar later on. I'm gonna be hurt. So that shit did hurt my heart, because once again, knowing the backstory and just seeing it, it's like, damn, I want to be like, nigga, get Deck shit. Don't let Inspector Deck shit fall in the water. You know what I mean? But,
right, let the cow sing. You can redo the cow.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And like you said too, it's like the RZA, the genius he is, after that run, to me, he never really got back to that level production wise, man. It's like he never found that magic again.
Yeah, that's true. And I think that's probably what's most dope about that first episode and you seeing RZA, because it's almost like he's in constant panic mode because he knows what he had. They're trying to recreate things, and it's like it ain't there because to them, and I guess Inspector Deck told him, but to him it was like, you know, these are my prized possessions. Everything's here. But that's why he should have broke up with Shorty. Wasn't that her house? With her when the shit happened.
Should have been got rid of her. Yeah.
Right. But yeah, it just hurt to see that because Inspector Deck's album, but who knows what other kind of crazy beats that he made like from the beginning or whatever that was on some of those mini discs that like were gone, you know, forever, which is crazy. So this episode we also got to see the early makings of two classic albums, and we're gonna talk about it one by one. But one being Ghost and Ray on Only Built for Cuban Links, and how, and I remember hearing this in an interview, I think with Raekwon, about how they were watching movies and, you know, mafia movies, but to people like us, be like, oh, they go to Gambino shit. What did you feel like just watching that album come together, just with those two kind of vibing and coming up with those personas and what the album eventually became?
Dog, I wish that shit could have been like 2 episodes, man, because it was so dope to see that. Even hearing Ray say shit like, yo, I seen it like a zenith, guy. Like I was like, oh shit, the nigga said it like a zenith. Like, so hearing shit like that, man, and them building that partnership, like you said, sitting there watching the Gambino movies and explaining it and talking about how the album gotta go. And then when Ray said to Ghost, nah, you gotta do it with me. You gotta be on the album with me. He said, nah, I'm gonna be on like a track too. He said, nah, we gotta do it together. You know, like you know what I mean? Tony couldn't have did it without Manolo. You know, I'm like, oh shit, yeah. So that dynamic was so fire to me, man. I love to see that. And then, you know, you spoke about, you know, me and you was roommates in college. Our freshman year, bro. Every fucking dorm room, as you walk through the hall, all you heard was the Purple Tape, man. And then it makes me think of like cats like our man D that used to talk just like Ghost and Raider. Every other word is like, nah, God, chill, God. So hearing them talk like that, once again, the old head nostalgia was on 1,000 for me, man, during that part of the episode.
Yeah, man, I agree. And the whole time I'm talking to the TV and shit, like just because of all the different things, little Easter eggs they're throwing in there by mentioning things that are on the album, right? But even with the Scarface joint, I'm like, oh, incarcerated Scarfaces.
Yeah.
And I think it was dope, a dope way to show, and they did this in the second season, a lot, but a dope way to show the origins of some of the songs and albums and concepts.
Yeah.
And I think it's good to see because we're going to talk about Twitter real quick. We're going to talk about social media real quick. But there's a lot of revisionist history.
Right.
And sometimes music become like this legend of things that aren't real, right? When sometimes it's just something simple as sitting down, watching a movie, looking for inspiration, talking to your homie about it, and it all kind of coming together in that way, which drives the album forward. So it's not this mystical, magical stuff that, people do, because I would get it all the time. Like, yo, what kind of rhymes was Ill Will writing? I'm like, none, nigga. What are you talking about? Who you playing Nintendo, nigga? Like you. But you know what I'm saying? Like everybody kind of, and I get it. You're so enamored by the history and what you love about it that it becomes this.
All these urban legends.
Right, urban legends.
Yeah.
But we, in a lot of ways, we didn't need all of that. Us just seeing and hearing Scarface and you be on the album was enough.
Yep.
Now, what did you think about, because I ain't going to front, I started reciting the whole damn verse, but when they were doing RZA joint, Liquid Swords, and he started spitting some of the verse, then ODB came
crazy.
in with the hook.
I went crazy, man. I went crazy. Like, once again, I hate to keep saying it, but you had to be there. You had to be there. Like, and a lot of people slept on the Jizza too. You know what I mean? A lot of people slept and don't know how nice he was. So when Liquid Swords dropped, I think that was him like really solidifying that, nah, nigga, I'm nice. I may not be as animated and loud and all that as the rest of the Wu, but I get busy. So just to hear the beat start, man, when they started recording, I was like, oh man, it made me go back and listen to the album, son. It did. It made me go back and listen to the album.
Yeah, that's dope, man. I felt just like you, and hearing it, you've heard it a million times over the years, but hearing it again, and Mary's with me, and I'm just coming up with all kind of hip hop nerd shit. Like, the nigga a scientist now, so he created that. She like, what, nigga? Just watch the fucking show. But yeah, I mean, again, there's the history, there's the nostalgia, and we're talking about solo albums, right? We ain't really even talking about the fact that the group album was crazy. We already did that, but looking at how these solo albums were built was just dope to see. Really quick, just so I could comment on the record label thing. That to me, like you said, they had to make it something special for TV, and I kind of got it. I kept, sometimes I put myself in the shoes of the execs there, and I'm like, first of all, get the fuck off the table.
Fuck off the table.
Second of all, you're freestyling. This nigga played 10 beats with no verses on them. Y'all better come back with some records or that's that. Because remember, they needed the advance, and that's the part we didn't really get into, is the financial side of things, right? The success was paying for the new stuff that RZA had to deliver. Remember, in one scene, RZA says, I got to deliver 4 more albums. And he didn't have none of them done.
None of them done.
Which is crazy to think about what actually came out and probably was on time because it was done. So we got to give RZA some props, man, because maybe that's why some of his beats didn't sound the same after a while. That nigga was tired. Like,
yeah, under too much pressure to get shit done and meet them deadlines. And to your point, I think that gave us and people who really don't understand how the industry was back then. It's bad now, but back then it was worse. Like the unrealistic record deals that cats had and how much your production was based on, money that was already there. But if you didn't produce, you would end up in the red like a motherfucker. Like he said, yo, we don't put these out. We gonna order label. Well, I think he said 800,000 or something like that. I'm like, damn, that's a lot of pressure, bro.
Right, that's a lot of pressure for money you just do not have.
Yeah,
and you need these albums out in order to get more money to pay everybody and to pay for everything. One thing that having that pressure did to him that I did not know. I always wondered why, but I didn't know. The All I Need remix. The fact that RZA was supposed to produce a remix for Def Jam and couldn't, so they selected Diddy. Yeah. What do you think about that, Joey?
And something else I did not know, and looking at myself as a hip hop historian, I did not know that was produced by Puff. I didn't. All these years, I didn't. And that might be embarrassing or whatever. I didn't know that. So it was crazy because Diddy really represented everything that the Wu was not. You know what I mean? So I could imagine how they felt about Diddy back then. Like, this shiny ice nigga, you know what I mean? We don't want him touching none of our shit, But for him to produce it and it be a banger was kind of crazy. I would have liked to really see some of those behind the scenes conversations, like with the RZA and Meth and everybody else when they found out that Diddy was going to produce the remix, So that was crazy. Dope. Like I said, information I didn't know, but I just wish we could have seen more insight because I know it wasn't that smooth. Like RZA heard was like, oh, shit was dope. Nah, I know that shit probably was like, yo, God, come on, God, we doing this bullshit. He probably, felt the way about that.
Yeah, I could see that. When you think about it, it also furthered the success of the Wu, right? Because RZA had all these beats that had to be done for these all these albums that had to be done, and the fact that Def Jam even went to him to say we need a remix for Meth, maybe it was in a contract or whatever, and he had to review it and okay it.
Yeah.
But it becomes the biggest hit off of that album.
Yeah.
It just kind of helped push the Wu into another space also.
Nobody really cares about the original. Let's keep it a buck. Like,
right. Well, except for who said that? I think it was my brother said that shit. Like, I kind of like the original. I'm like, nigga, nobody likes the original.
Whoa.
Like, we might have kind of liked it when it came out, but when that joint with Mary J was on fire.
Yeah, man. And the video was crazy.
Right. Yeah, it was it was dope to see. And to see like RZA not be so guarded with the Wu. Say like, nah, that shit works.
Yeah.
And it gives me a breather to go over here and do this. Almost like it bought him some time.
Indeed. Yep.
Right. And Diddy saying, yo, we need to do more shit, which is what they wound up doing,
Yeah.
On Biggie album.
Yep.
I bet you the SWV shit was probably him too.
Yeah.
Jodeci.
I would have loved, and I don't know, I don't know if this is in future episodes. I would love just for them to throw in like a studio session with Meth and Biggie, man. I would just love to see that, man. But I know that's not gonna happen, man.
It's only gonna happen if Gravy is available because this has cornered the market on Biggie appearances.
Yeah, he has. He damn sure has.
And that'll be the only way we'd be cool with it. Like, oh, it's Gravy? All right.
Yeah, cool. Yep. He the only one that could do it, man. Because I've seen other Biggies that I'm like, man, get the fuck out of here, man. Where's Gravy?
Right, like he was more than fat and black. Come on now. Like,
exactly. But
but yeah, I thought that was a dope dynamic to highlight. I know some of you Puff haters hated that, but guess what?
Mm-hmm.
RZA needed it, and we're gonna see more. One last thing, real quick. Now, I looked at this as, whose idea was to throw that in there? The whole crystal, like, almost like they're trying to say we were drinking that shit first. You know what I'm saying? Because I was like, what is this about? Like,
yeah. Now I could see maybe Ghost and Ray and them, I don't know, maybe sitting in a meeting and saying, listen, just because Ghost and Ray like to be niggas to let niggas know we was trendsetters. We did certain shit first. That probably exactly is what that was, because that wasn't necessary to have in there that, you know, for them to sit down. Oh, what's this shit, guy? Oh, Crystal. And then when they had the boxes coming, Power came with boxes of it. Like, damn, just for y'all to drink in the mansion. But I think that was just for them to stunt. Like, yeah, nigga, we did this first, man. It wasn't Big, wasn't Jay. It was us. We was doing this shit first.
Yeah, that's why they said that shit on Shark Biters. You
Shark
know,
Biters.
Pop a little champagne every time you see him. You know, don't come for me. Like, it's like, come on, man. All right. But yeah, I thought that was definitely a better episode. Now we get into the episode that before I even watched it, it seemed a little controversial. I know the Dirty Tims, you know, growling ass voice, mostly New York niggas, just was not feeling this episode. It was called Dirty Dancing. It's essentially a play on 70s black exploitation, but it's within the mind of Old Dirty creating what his album Return to the 36 Chambers would become. Jay, when you saw this episode, did you say, what the fuck is this? Or how'd you feel about the episode?
It's crazy. I did not think that they was going to do a whole episode like that, like set in the fucking 70s, like you said, like basically a parody of black exploitation films, right? If they would have did like maybe 5 to 10 minutes of it to set the tone, cool. But I will say this, me being a comedian, I do like how they showed him as a comedian trying to do shit his way. Like, you know, not trying to, you know, conform to Airtight Mike, who was the RZA and the owner of the comedy club, for him watering down his style of comedy, for him not being bought by the chick who was RZA and Devon's, Erica Alexander, not being bought by her to do an album for him, basically saying, I'm going to do shit my way. So I know the picture that they were trying to paint. I just don't think they needed an entire episode to do that. I think they really missed their shot at putting some more, you know, of Dirty's, you know, growth and how he put the album together. I like it, like I said, but I think they didn't need a whole fucking episode to do that, man, in my opinion.
Yeah, at first, I liked it a lot because I thought the acting was probably better than it's been the whole time.
Hell yeah.
Because most of them had me dying. They nailed them damn black exploitation.
The slang, they had it down. Hey, Jack, you know.
Right, the mannerisms, everything was pretty dope to see. But like you, after a while, I was like, oh, this is the whole episode.
Yeah, I felt like I did. Okay.
What you say? Yo, we like, wait a minute, hold up. What did I do? Like, is this Tubi? You know, hit the Tubi button by mistake.
Right.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, I think I liked it overall because I believe this was directed by Mario Van Peebles.
It was.
It was, right? And he also directed the Shimmy Shimmy Ya video also, right? Now, remember, he directed, even though this was doper, he directed the episode, I forget the name of it, last season, where RZA was finding the sample to make the track. Remember, the whole episode was
the
basically
drummer, the guitar player.
Right. Yeah. It was a metaphor for him making a beat. And I thought that was one of the greatest hip-hop displays ever. I think they tried to do the same thing with Dirty's concept for his album. You know, I think they probably should have started with him on the floor again, staring up talking about blowfly and all. Just set it up,
Yeah.
and then we can look at it as everything's a metaphor. But when you just start out, he permed out, you really felt like it was going to happen for like 10 minutes, or cut into the episode, every time he went to think about it.
Right.
But I did like, I guess the ending is what made me feel better about it. Cause I was like, well, yeah, it's basically you're in the mind of old dirty bastard. And I wonder if it was because they wanted to do something creative, or maybe they, just because Dirty's not there to give his thoughts about how he created the album, they just took what they knew about it and said, okay, well, let's do this. You know what I'm saying? Because I was trying to figure out, like, well, why this episode? You know what I'm saying?
That's a great point you make, and I didn't even really look at it like that, because he's not here to tell his story. So you never want to try to assume what somebody was thinking, and maybe certain times we see this happen in a lot of documentaries and biopics or biopics, however the hell you say it, where family is saying, nah, I don't like how they said that wasn't this way and he didn't do that. So they did it in a way like just to show how they felt Dirty Mind worked. And that you know what? Now you just gave me more insight and a different vantage point on it. Because he's not here to tell his story to say, nah, this happened when I was doing the motherfucking album and this is what I was thinking. So it did put you into the frame of thinking of Dirty and how creative he was and how he came to come about with his style in his first album. I still don't think it had to be an entire episode though.
Yeah, I the funny part for me was seeing people reacting to it online. And permed out old Dirty. It was like, this episode ain't it. And I'm like, what the fuck are they doing? They about to mess up? Right. But I could see maybe that's what it was for. And we just gotta say what it is, because Snowfall did it also. Right. Y'all need to give Atlanta its props.
Oh yeah.
Because Atlanta is the master of doing those kinds of episodes where you're like, what the fuck is this? Is that Michael Jackson? Like,
right. Hell yeah.
And you're locked in, you know what I'm saying? And you're not saying, well, this isn't real. Whereas I say they did a better job than that Tiger Cage shit Snowfall did, where I was just like, okay, what's happening?
yeah. And I love Snowfall, but I will say that, and to your point, man, I gotta give flowers to the young brother TJ Adam that plays Dirty, man, because he, like a lot of people were when the show first came out. And Dirty's son, young Dirty Bastard, wasn't playing him. It was like, damn, how they gonna do that? But when I started seeing TJ Adam, like you said, early on, like in the first couple of seasons, we didn't really see too much of him, like from an acting standpoint. He was there like acting wild, saying outlandish shit, flipping around, taking his shirt off. But to have him have like more dialogue and see more of the character, he studied Dirty to a T, because he got that shit down packed, man. They got it right with that. That brother kills this role.
He did, and he showed a lot of range with this character that was dirty but not dirty, like blaxploitation's dirty.
Yeah.
Even his scenes with Shuri, when he's serious, his scenes with RZA, right?
Yeah.
Where he's like, yo, man, it was always my dream to sign with Def Jam. I was like, okay, he acting, okay. Yeah. Like, this nigga acting. Yeah. So I think he kind of I agree. I think it was a great look for him to have an episode dedicated to him, given the fact that old Dirty again almost felt like comic relief, and he didn't really get to show his skills, his acting skills until now. And I think that's what I was most impressed with. So I kind of didn't mind, and I kind of I wish I was in it, because when Divine came in looking like Priest, I'm like, if he don't say it, like as soon as he came in and threw him down, I was like, you need to say, nigga, you don't give my money tonight. I'm gonna have that young girl of yours down in Hoes Road. Hey, that's my lady. So what? Okay, sorry, y'all.
Y'all young niggas never seen Superfly. Go watch Superfly, man. If you never seen it, go watch Superfly. Right. The original.
You want to see how
the original
collect money? Not that. Man. Not that one. Not the Dark and Lovely. Uh, so overall, first 3 episodes in the can. The 4th episode is on the way. If you're watching this and the whole season already came out, the fuck are you watching this for? You already saw it, like, you know. But nevertheless, what do you think? Is this a good start for a final season?
Definitely, man. Definitely. I like the direction they're going in. And I hope it only gets better. I'm looking forward to seeing more with, you know, Ghost and Ray, of course, and Old Dirty, and just the RZA, just them building the characters, man. And you know, I don't know, man. You God, I don't know. I was never a big U-God fan anyway, but I think they should, you know, even dive into his story a little bit more. And I think that's gonna come, because although I wasn't a big fan of U-God, like lyrically, he did play a big part in Wu-Tang and his creation, and you know, and keeping the shit going. I think it was so funny when he came to pick up his check, and Devon, he was like, "Yo, what's all this, God?" Devon was like, "Yo, you gotta have, you know, health insurance and all that." The nigga was almost like, "Nigga, I don't care if I die, I die. Like, don't take my shit. I don't need no insurance." Nigga, who told you to do that? But I just, you know, I'm looking forward to seeing them build the characters and relationships more, and just seeing more of an amazing story. Like they call it Wu-Tang, an American Saga, and that's exactly what it is, man. It just us seeing some of our heroes and people from, you know, our golden era and their journey. So I think it was a great way to start the final season.
Yeah, I agree. It feels like they're right on target with the vibe, and not even, because I had to think back to where they were in the first season, because now they're the people we know, right? Right. But early on, that first season, I loved it because it wasn't Yo RZA, you know, everybody's being called by their real name, and I was loving it.
Yeah.
Right, like Yo Dennis, it's like, oh shit, so I think, you know, I think it's a great start. And to your point, and I wanted to mention this, I'm glad you brought it up. What people need to pay attention to, the fact that they had health insurance shows you that all that Wu was a family and all. Yo, them brothers had their business together.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hell yeah.
We know they all suing them now, but
right, but that's beside
right. They all suing them now, like, yo, nigga, now I know. Took a little bit off the top.
Right. Hell yeah.
But yeah, again, dope start to the season. Can't wait to see what's next. Which I'm assuming, because I've been saying this probably since, I guess, season 1, when is Capadonna showing up? Because they showed us Master Killer, but for about an episode and a half, I was like, who the fuck is that? Like,
right.
They keep bringing in, like you said, they keep bringing in these Inspector Deck Jizza niggas. We don't know who that is. Until they called him Killer, and I was like, oh, that's Master Killer. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah, they got to bring Kappa, though. And before, I just want to say this before we dip. I didn't mention this. I love the fucking wardrobe and the clothing design from the era. I'm a polo head, man. To see them with all that classic polo shit, I love it. Right. Even, you know, Dave East had a Mecca jacket on in one of the episodes, and I said, other than that Mecca jacket, Dave East looked like it's 2023. But, you know, whatever. But I love the fashion, man. I love the fashion. They got the fashion right on.
Yeah, it's been on point since the first season, man.
Yeah.
Especially Shuri, because some of those outfits and earrings and jeans, I'm like, damn, I remember that shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, just a dope start to season 3. What did you think about the first 3 episodes of Wu-Tang and American Saga? Were you mad because you saw permed out Old Dirty for an hour? Do you not care? Are you as mad or heartbroken as us to see Inspector Deck constantly talk to people about an album that we all know ain't never coming out? Like, she was like, yo, when's your album coming out? He's like, oh, just wait. Like, nah, it's not coming. Sorry. I'm about to go in his DMs like, man, I am heartbroken for you. Like,
I know that shit, man, just bring back. Imagine him watching it, like he probably, you know, air punching like Cuba Gooding Jr. and, you know, Boys in the Hood. You know what I mean?
Right.
Album.
Right. That's when your kids ask you, like, you were supposed to have an album too? Like, man. Shit got a flood. Not flooded in my house, you know. So, unfortunately, kids, they did not have the cloud back then. If I get a time machine, I'm breaking RZA house and I'm taking it. And I'm gonna bring it to him now. Like, here you go, nigga, put it out.
Right.
But yeah, leave your comments in the comment section below. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you like this video. Press like. If you like any of the videos I do, you should subscribe. Why not? You're already here. Why not? First and foremost, I want to thank the homie Jay for coming through, going through these nostalgia trips with me, these 3 episodes, man. Give them all your information. You can see him on stage. You can catch him on television. We're going to get some movies next. What's up?
Oh, yeah, for sure, man. I'm speaking that into existence. I'm actually, though, working on a short film this coming Saturday. We start production, man. So I am, I'm trying to do my thing. But said that to say, man, I want to thank my brother Vegas for having me, man. I'm very proud of everything you're doing, brother, and thank you for sharing your platform. But yeah, if you in the New York City area, man, you could catch me on, at any comedy club at any night. You know what I mean? I should be, in the DMV area soon, but just follow me, Jevon M Johnson on everything, man. Jevon M Johnson, man, on everything, man. That's it.
All right, and you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Vegas World INC. And we're gonna be back with another episode. I mean, I might be permed out by then, man. You see, I got the hair twisted up.
Yeah.
I already told him at work. I was like, get ready for the perm. Anybody with back talk, boy. I've been working to get my pimp hand strong on your ass. All right, y'all. Peace.
Chocolate City, later.